to Learning Unlocked. I'm your host, Britt Bingold. As an instructional specialist in Gilbert, Arizona, I'm a total nerd when it comes to classroom strategies and educational pedagogy. Educators are the key holders to unlocking learning for students. So today, as always, my goal is to provide you with resources and tools, the keys, to enable and accelerate learning for all students. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get started. Hey key holders, welcome to episode 2 of Learning Unlocked. I just wanted to make a quick announcement before we get started with today's interview, which I am super excited about. Don't forget, you can get 2 hours of recertification credit for listening to this podcast if you go to the Employee Hub under Digital PD, and you can find more information about how to do that there. So please head over there and check that out. I think it is awesome to get some recertification credit for listening. Today, my guest is Stacey Pasquel. She is a technology integration educator in our district. She has an extensive background in educational technology. Her knowledge base, her leadership, her passion for this just is amazing. I mean, she has such an in-depth understanding of how to use effective technology, when to use the right tool in the right situation and the right lesson, all the way from elementary to the university level. So I am so excited to have her on today for talking about tech tools for 2020. What are those must-haves as we go into this official 2 weeks at least of remote learning with our students? She also teaches learning design and technology as a master's program at ASU, and she has recently served as the president of the Arizona Technology and Education Association. And she also has worked as a technology infusion specialist at the Mary Lou Fulton College of Education and the Teachers College. So she is an English teacher turned tech nerd, so we are on the same page about that. But this girl, I'm telling you, she's got a master's degree in education administration. She's got a master's degree of secondary education. She's got a bachelor's of arts in English and creative writing from ASU, NAU, and U of A. So she covers all the bases of the Arizona universities, and she is just amazing. I can't wait for you guys to listen to our interview today as we kind of get into and dig into the tech tools that are really crucial, I think, for fall of 2020, and take a positive deep dive into how can this be successful for our parents, students, and teachers coming this fall. So here's my interview with Stacey. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Stacey. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Britt.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this during your summertime off. I know that we have to sneak it in between vacations and plans, and I really do appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome. I don't think teachers are ever off the clock, so no problem.
I know, it's very true. We know all of our teachers are out there trying to figure out what they're going to do come in fall of 2020, especially with the new announcement that we're going to be remote for the first 2 weeks. So I think they're working, and no matter what, teachers are always working. Why don't you guys you go ahead and just introduce yourself a little bit, what you do for the district, and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. So my name is Stacey Pasquel, as you said, and I currently work as a technology integration educator, or a TIE, for Gilbert Public Schools. There are 12 of us in tech services who work as TIEs. We support teachers at different schools, just in integrating technology into teaching and learning practices. We've had a really phenomenal couple of months as a team, and it's been really fun to work with so many teachers and helping them get set up for remote learning and using all these different tools, a lot of new tools for a lot of teachers, but I look forward to continuing that with teachers in the fall. I actually have a husband who is also a teacher in Scottsdale. He's a high school PE teacher. And I have two kiddos. My son James is a sophomore in high school, and my daughter Kate will be in eighth grade. So I'm also a parent of remote learners right now. Um, yeah, being a Thai, being a teacher, being a parent, it's a lot, but it's great to see it from all those different perspectives. And so, I hope I can help teachers knowing that I have those lenses to look through. That's about it for me. I live in Scottsdale, and I'm going into my 19th year of teaching, and it will be my 11th year as an instructional technology coach.
That's amazing. Well, I know that you have a true love of your life that is your rescue, right?
I love
And I just rescued a dog. So my rescue is Kubo, but yours is Frank the Tank.
Yes, he is our Staffy, our little pit bull. He is so beautiful. I wish people could see a picture of him right now, but he's
So
free.
no, I'm gonna go ahead and post it on the show notes because he is adorable. And like when we were looking, there were so many pits, and we just can't do that because of my daughter and my husband's allergies. But
Yeah.
pits are so sweet and they get such a bad rap. So when I saw his cute little face, I was like, oh, we gotta talk about Frank the Tank.
Oh my gosh,
So
I never thought I would have a pit bull. And he was just, we saw him on a rescue site, like on Facebook
yeah.
or something. And we went in, we got lucky. He's been part of our family for about 4 years now. And yeah, he really is my soulmate.
Okay, I just love it. I know my new rescue I think not only my soulmate but my spirit animal. He likes to sleep as much as I do, and he likes to burrow under blankets like I do. And I'm like, oh yes, you were meant for our house. So, okay, well let's go get ahead and get started with the interview. We're talking tech tools for 2020, right? We're here, we're remote learning for
Yeah.
at least 2 weeks. Okay, these are uncertain times for teachers and parents and the world. And I think a lot of us are in kind of this dangerous position of teacher nostalgia. And what I mean by that is, and this can happen even without a pandemic, right? You can always look back 4 years and be like, remember those kids 4 years ago? They were so great and they always listened. But it really wasn't like that. We just kind of are nostalgic sometimes and we don't really remember what it truly was like. And I think a lot of teachers are having that about their classroom experience. They're missing being with their kids in their regular normal environment. And so I think, what would your advice be to teachers who are really in this place of maybe contempt and anger about having to start this way? Or maybe there's teachers that are in a place of anxiety for the present teaching situation. Do you have some advice as a Thai going in, or just even yourself, like as a parent teacher, kind of going into this situation?
Absolutely. I think that so many of us felt so much new stress in the last few months, including myself. Excuse me. I think that as teachers, we work so hard, during quote unquote normal times.
Uh-huh.
And then, right. And then we have all of a sudden, our entire reality just changed and our jobs were upended and our students' lives were upended. And so I think that as teachers, we we respond to the stress of our students and our parents too. So not only are we experiencing more stress as teachers with our professional role, I think we're feeling it just on a personal level too, with being concerned about maybe our parents, being concerned about our family members and our friends who might be going through some things, being concerned for our students who maybe are going through something not so great right now because they're stuck at home and maybe their parents are having to. There's just so much uncertainty. So many people are going through such unprecedented times right now, and I think that teachers, we take on that stress in so many different ways. So I think that when we are working, it's so important to be intentional about maintaining both our mental and our physical health, because these really
Mhm.
are just demanding times. They're stressful times. And when you're going from working in a face-to-face environment to an online environment, there's new physical stresses on our body and there's new mental tolls that are being taken on us. So I think online learning also tends to blur the boundaries of like when we're on and when we're off the clock.
Yeah.
Students, parents, colleagues, we tend to text each other, email each other,
Mhm.
via Google Classroom or whatever online environment or tools you're using. We tend to try to reach out and ping each other at all hours of the day, And I think that that can easily lead to burnout. Like, it's not okay to provide round the clock support. It's just not.
Right.
It's okay to set boundaries for yourself. It's okay to say, okay, I'm going to be on the clock at 8 and I'm going to be off the clock at 4, and to not blur those lines. It's
Mhm.
important to compartmentalize, I think, as best you can. And I speak, both as a parent and as a teacher. I teach online at ASU. And so I understand what it's like to be an online teacher. I think that technology, while it can sometimes add stress in that way, it can also afford us, ways to schedule our work time efficiently. So use your technology tools like in Gmail, use the scheduler to schedule your emails out to students so that if you want to work on Friday and, set up all of the emails that need to go out Monday morning so that you don't have to work on Sunday to do it, do that and use the scheduler so that all of your communications go out, in a timely manner the following week. You have a digital calendar, so stay organized, schedule your meetings, all of that stuff. There's also features in a lot of our tools like auto grading and resource libraries that we can pull from to save time. So I think
Right.
it's just important to utilize technology for good, right? And to be efficient.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and I also think it's really important to take breaks. I think that I know myself when I'm working from home and I'm working on my computer, it's really strenuous on my body. So take breaks intuitively, take them often. There's been some research done that actually says it's better to take like minimum breaks every hour, like maybe take a 5-minute break every hour instead of taking a half an hour break every 3 hours. So get up, short, frequent breaks are better. Get up, stretch, grab a snack, just stretch your muscles, refresh your brain, refocus your eyes, and it'll help you to be more productive. And I think it'll mentally recharge you a little bit better.
Well, I mean, and that's true. My physical therapist even told me that when I had to suddenly stop teaching because of my autoimmune issue, it was like literally in the middle of the school year. So it was like I went from 60 to zero, like, right. And I was on the couch, and then I went into like just an office job, and I literally had so many neck and back issues because I was so used to being up and moving and walking around. And so I think we need to take that into account. Just those little breaks actually help a lot more, just getting up and walking. But I actually take longer breaks, obviously, too, just because I have little ones. So I'll go outside and we'll do the pool for a little while and get some sun and, do that and come back in and then do some work. But I think you're right. They need to use their scheduler for sure. And then this other thing that has really helped me is in Gmail, that task list, the digital task list that you can use, that you can also just add to your calendar.
Oh,
Like, so
yeah.
like I use that all the time. So it's like, oh, we're going to record this interview on this day, and I just put it on there, and then I can just check it off as it goes, and it just sits on the side of my Gmail. I think any of those things
Yeah.
are helpful with anxiety and coming back into this, because I know all of us really wanted to be back at work. I mean, I really, really, really wanted to be back at work. I love my kiddos and I want them to be safe. I'm sure you're the same way, but I wanted them back in school. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I wanted
100%.
normalcy.
Yes.
Like, none of us are like, woo! Like I love this remote learning. Like, let's do this. Like, but I think the way we frame it to our kids is important. I told my daughter, look, it's me and you again. We're going to do this. It's going to be fun. We're going to start off the year and it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. It's me and you. I think if we frame it in a positive way for our students and ourselves, that we are just doing it so we can stay safe and healthy. I mean, my cousin's grandma just passed from COVID this week. And so seeing those experiences, I mean, a lot of our students are having grandparents and people they know pass away. I mean, this is a traumatic time. So I think instead of getting upset and angry about it, I know that feeling, believe me, they're driving me kind of
Absolutely.
crazy.
I mean, yeah, the end goal is to get all of our students back in the classroom as safely as possible, right? So whatever
Right.
that takes, and right now that means that we're just on a little bit of a delay, and hopefully we can get everyone back in the classroom safely very soon. But until
Yeah.
then, I think we have to just, like you said, make the most of it. And it is easy, I think, for technology to feel overwhelming and to be even more anxiety inducing if you're not comfortable with it. But that's why I
Mhm.
think it's important to recognize where technology can actually lessen your stress,
Yeah.
Yeah, just with the task scheduler or setting up like auto graded assignments, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And do you have like a recommended Autograder app that you would recommend for the teachers? Is it like an extension for like a Google form or something like that?
A lot of the auto grading that I've done, there's a lot of great assessment tools, right? Google
Mhm.
Forms is a great one. There's also GoFormative, which is one of my personal favorites.
Okay.
There's, all sorts of fun little assessment tools. Socrative. Most of the time, though, the auto grading option is only available in like true false or multiple choice
Right.
assessment questions.
Yeah.
And we don't want to just stay in that lane, right? We want to live outside of those types of traditional assessment questions. But for checks for understanding, right? Like a quick,
Yep.
maybe mid-lesson check, something like that. Recognize the areas where it's appropriate to use those types of assessments and absolutely go for it. Actually, in Buzz as well, and I know we're going to talk about Buzz too, but Buzz is an online learning platform that all GPS teachers will be using for remote learning, for online learning.
Mhm.
There
Yep.
is an auto grading feature for those types of questions in those already pre-made assessments as well. So that'll be great for teachers.
Yeah, just some time saving where so they can focus on which is going into my next question, starting the year remotely. Like it's going to be a little bit different building those relationships with our students. So we need to save some time on the other end with grading because I think we're going to have to pour ourselves into getting to know our students as individuals. Do you have any recommendations for teachers to do this digitally? Because I think this piece, more than any lesson planning that they're doing right now, is the most important. They got to reach those kids and make them feel welcoming right away into their classroom that they may eventually walk into in however many weeks, but they're doing it remotely at first. And so that might be a little awkward, I think, for students and teachers. Spring, they knew their teacher. So that was kind of okay. But this is like, hi, this is my, this is your new teacher. So any recommendations? Because I think that is just going to be so, so important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we all know how critical it is to establish routines and develop relationships with our students at the beginning of the year. That's what the beginning of the year is for. That's what that
Right.
school is for, right? Good
Mhm.
relationships increase student engagement. It helps us with our classroom management. It just overall leads to increased student success and performance, right? So when we're doing that online, it can be trickier. It can be more challenging. One of the more common complaints of students in an online learning environment is that they feel isolated. They don't feel that they have a connection with their teacher or
Right.
fellow students. So I personally think it's really important to create those opportunities as often as you can and in any way that is possible. So show your face as much as you can. If you're able to host a synchronous welcome session or first day of class WebEx meeting, go for it. I think that
That
would
would be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be so amazing. If you can do it synchronously, great. It's just important to establish a visual connection with your students and with their parents too. Maybe invite parents to come say hi to you.
Yeah.
Because we might not have that open house, that traditional
Right.
open house this year. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's really important to have like a synchronous type of video connection. We have WebEx. All of our teachers in Gilbert were trained on how to use WebEx in the spring. So I really do feel that the remote learning situation we found ourselves in last spring is positioning us to be super successful as we continue that remote learning here in the fall. All teachers know how to use WebEx. If they forgot or if they just want a refresher, we have all of the videos, the training videos and the training resources on that Quick Clicks website. Um, Also,
Which by the way looks awesome. You guys redid it. And I
yeah,
freaked out
I
for
did. It was
I was like, where did everything go? But it looks beautiful.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you. It was getting really busy, and Leanne and some of the ties worked on that. But yeah, you can, and teachers can always reach out to their ties too and just say, hey, I would love a refresher on WebEx, or can you help me with Flipgrid? Because if you can't do a synchronous session, you might want to consider just posting a welcome video, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
Use a screencasting tool like Screencastify Screencastify, again, another tool that we trained on in the spring. Or maybe you want to use Flipgrid and just post a little welcome video, and then you can have your students also post welcome videos and they can respond to each other asynchronously. The classes that I teach at ASU, we do use Flipgrid for all of our online discussions. And while it's not ideal, it's a great option when we can't synchronously get together through Zoom or WebEx or whatever it is that we're using, right? I also
and do silly things, right? You like we're talking about icebreakers and things like that. Don't make it all about like, well, we're going to be reading all these books and blah blah blah. Like, make it fun, make it exciting, and make your students want to get up and see your videos and watch your lessons and and respond to each other, because I think there was just a lot of lag on students' part at the end of the year last year. They weren't coming on. They didn't see the value in it. I'm hoping they see the value in it now that it's like, hey, this is like gonna be happening maybe often. But like you said, start with some fun icebreakers, right?
Think about what you would normally do at the beginning of the school year. What would you normally do in your first week of class? So if you would do some fun icebreakers as a whole class, figure out how to do that online. And if you need help, there's always, your department, I know, is helpful in structures like that. Reach out to guys and we can help you figure out how to instructionally, how to design those types of instructional environments, even when you're just having fun. Like for a whole class, you could easily on a WebEx do activities like 2 truths and a lie. That's one of the activities I used to do. As icebreakers, you could do show and tell with the younger students. You could do team building activities. But if you want to also just do like student to teacher or teacher to student types of activities, you could still have students. I used to do like if you really knew me letters, and I would have all of my students in the first week of school. They would write a letter to me and, they could share what they wanted, what they were comfortable with. But the topic was, if you really knew me, this is what you would know about me. And then that's how I kind of got to know my students individually. So students will do that on a Google Doc and they can just submit it to you individually, the teacher, so that other students don't see it. Still give them, if you do learning style tests or personality tests, if that's part of your first week of school routine, you can still do that digitally. So I also think, another great project that you can have students do is some type of vision boarding activity or goal setting activity. So you can use tools like Jamboard or Canva, even just Google Draw, and you can have students create a vision board for the year. Like, what are their goals? I really think that in the context of remote learning and in the context of this pandemic that we're still existing in, it's so important that students set goals for themselves and themselves focused on accomplishing those goals and figuring out what steps they need to take over the next month, over the next year in order to accomplish those goals. And I think as teachers, it's important that we create those opportunities for students to keep them focused and to keep them on track and to keep their mental health, stable. So I think all of those are helpful.
I really, really like the vision board idea too, because, right now it just feels like Groundhog Day.
Oh my God, yes.
And I think if I have to have goals. That's why I have to have that task list. And even some of it is just as simple as like, make a cute banner for the website. Like, it's something really like, I don't have to do that, but it's something creative for my brain to do because I just need something productive to do for that day. So having a student do that, even if it's, both academic, but also just in their personal life, what are some visions that they want to accomplish throughout the year? I think that's awesome. And Jamboard would be super easy, and Canva would be awesome because Canva's beautiful. I was gonna, for the personality test. So I've always done the Pooh personality, the Winnie the Pooh one.
Yes, I took that.
I know you've done that. But I'm thinking that they still should do that because teachers should still group kids. I think they should still have teams, and the teachers digitally should let them know who their teams are for the first 2 weeks. That way they can still do some team collaborative learning online, and they know who their teams are. So I think that's something awesome to do. And that way teachers can easily say, okay, like here, team one, and maybe it's a team of the Winnie the Pooh, the Eeyore, Rabbit, and Tigger. They're still in a team, and so they know when their teacher assigns something that they all have roles in that collaboration, even if it's just collaborating on a Google slide or a Google Doc or something,
Yeah,
and they're
I
doing
love
an
that.
assignment together.
And that is the
So
great thing about, again, making technology work for us during remote learning. There are so many great collaborative tools just within Google, right? So take advantage of that and don't shy away from it just because students aren't in the same classroom. In fact, this is probably when they need it more, right?
right. Yeah, they need that direction from you to say, and I think they also need that little bit of responsibility, like, hey, I've been placed in this team. I have a role in this team. I need to get on and make sure my part's done. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and my teacher's going to give me some feedback on that, and I need to make sure that, I am in there. Once you maybe get into a little bit of content after you do like an all about you or get to know you. So I would definitely include that and make your teams, like make your kind of seating charts, even though you don't have those really, like
Mhm.
online. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
So again, okay, there's tons of digital resources out there. It's can be super overwhelming, like we've said. We don't like our goal from PGD, and I know ties. We're not here to overwhelm teachers. We don't want to do that. But in your expert opinion, like if you could pick a few web tools that are free, that are online for teachers, like at a bare minimum, what should they be using? So let's talk about Buzz a little bit, because that was kind of like the new
Yeah.
buzzword, right? Um,
Yeah, I think it's important to note that all GPS teachers will be using Buzz as their online LMS for online learning this year. This, recently came out as an announcement from Technology Services and I believe, Teaching and Learning. So all teachers should be aware of that. But Buzz essentially is an online platform where, and it's similar to Google Classroom. If you're not familiar with a lot of tech terms, an LMS is a learning management system. Buzz is actually the online platform or the LMS that our Global Academy uses for all
right.
of the online learning. So it's a familiar platform within Gilbert, and for some of our students, for some of our parents, we are asking that all teachers do start to learn about Buzz and start using Buzz. Within Buzz, all teachers will have access to curriculum for their designated grade level and content area. We use Florida Learning Virtual Schools curriculum. And so this is actually a really fantastic thing because even though this might be a new tool for some teachers, everyone's going to get trained on it. The ties will be here to support all teachers in using it. And we're going to dive in just like we did in the spring. We're going to dive into using Buzz, but it's going to be great because these first 2 weeks are really going to give all teachers an opportunity to get their hands and their feet wet a little bit in using this tool. And it will also give all of their students the opportunity to get in and just feel around and get to know the tool so that, whatever ends up happening come August 17th, we are all really well positioned to continue with rigorous teaching and learning for the entire school year, right? It's also amazing because with all GPS teachers using Buzz, all teachers, all students, all parents, we are streamlined. It's consistency, right, for everyone. So everyone knows that, oh, okay, today I'm doing online learning. I know exactly where I need to go and log in.
Yeah.
Teachers, students, they all log into Buzz through Rapid Identity. So there's just a tile, very simple. So there's no
It's cute. It has a bee on it.
yeah, there's no additional login. It's not like you have to learn new credentials or anything like
Yep.
that. You just go to Rapid Identity, you click on the little Buzz tile with the V on it. And then, teachers will get trained. We have a lot of training opportunities available in July, and teachers they'll get paid for that hour because it's off contract. Any teachers
Right.
who choose to wait until they're back on contract, I believe they do need to get trained within the first day or two of being back on contract. But we have so many different times and dates with training availability. So just pick one that works for you. We will give you an hour-long overview of how to navigate through Buzz. Again, if you think about it in terms of Google Classroom, when you log in, it's essentially you'll see your courses. So if I'm a high school English teacher and I teach ninth grade English, I will see that ninth grade English course in there already. I can look through all the curriculum. I can modify it. So if I just want to use that curriculum out of the box, I certainly can do that. It's a vetted, really great curriculum, tied to standards, has opportunities for student collaboration, has built-in assessments, all of that good stuff. But if I'm the type of teacher who wants to be a little more hands-on and I want to add some tried and true lessons or some activities, or if I just want to make modifications because I know some of my students have different needs, you certainly can do that as well. It's intended to be super flexible for teachers and students' needs. So that's just, I think, important to note that everyone will be using Buzz. And I'm actually really excited about it. I think that once everyone gets over the hump of learning about it a little bit, it's going to be a really great streamlined platform that we're all in together.
And from there, they can, if they want to, jump off into other tools that they may love that they used last spring, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you had asked me about some other tools. So once you're in Buzz, you know,
That's our like hub. We go to Buzz and like everybody just goes there,
yeah,
which I think is nice because as a parent last year, I was like, I have to click this button for the reading curriculum, and then I have to click this button for the math, and it was a lot. I mean, to
it
learn.
is. And I'm a parent of two secondary students. So as a parent, I'm dealing with 10 different teachers between my two.
Right.
And they
Yes.
all had different preferences. And, oh, I want you to start here. And one teacher used Microsoft Teams, another used Google Classroom, another used this and that, whatever. And I'm not saying that teachers shouldn't use a lot of other tech tools, right? We want to be versatile. We know that not everything is necessarily a one size fits all. And we want to integrate technology when it's appropriate and to add value to teaching and learning and to meet the needs of all of our unique students. But having one consistent like starting point is going to be, I think, a game changer. I think it's going to be really great for everyone. So once you get,
Especially parents.
yeah,
I think
oh my
the
God,
parents
yeah,
are just
yeah.
like so overwhelmed when, especially if we're gonna, maybe have some parents working from home again to accommodate for this pushback. I think, when we have littles, like I had a first grader, now she's going into second grade. um you know it would be nice just to be able to be like, okay, I click here and then
100%.
I
And then everything is just right there, right? So,
yeah.
and that doesn't mean that teachers can't, like on their homepage or anywhere in Buzz, link to any other resources or tools that they might want to use. For example,
Okay.
in my class on my homepage, I might, and I actually do recommend this for any teachers who plan to use WebEx, which, by the way, I also recommend that all teachers use WebEx. Um,
Uh-huh, me too.
yeah, so you read, you asked what are some other free tech tools. I 100% could not recommend the use of WebEx more because within Buzz there is no like video conferencing tool or option built into Buzz. So we still as teachers want to use WebEx for video conferencing, for live sessions, for one-on-one meetings with students and parents, whatever it is. So on my homepage, I would link to my personal room in WebEx. That way, when students or parents, when they go into Buzz and the first thing they see is maybe my homepage when they're in my class, my WebEx personal room is always linked right there. And they know that, boom, all I have to do is click on that and I can be taken to Mrs. Pasquel's room. Or, however you use WebEx, but you can certainly link there. I think another tool that I would recommend, like I said, is Flipgrid. Um,
Right.
if you want to do online discussions, I think it's great. It's not synchronous, so it's all like recorded video posts, but you can respond to other people's posts. You can post screencasts. There's a lot that you can do within Flipgrid, and we have a lot of great training materials on that on the Quick Clicks website. But also,
Yeah.
I would recommend Flipgrid not just for like online discussions between your class. I would actually recommend it for performance-based assessments too. We were talking about when it was appropriate to do like a multiple choice question type of test as opposed to maybe more of a performance-based assessment. And I think if you want students to like physically demonstrate their understanding in a visual way or in an auditory way or something like that, Flipgrid's a great way for them to record an explanation or a demonstration. So I think that's a great option too. I also think Screencastify is going to be a teacher's best friend at point.
Uh-huh.
So anytime you have remote learning, communication is huge. And one of the ways that we can communicate with students is to provide them with maybe like lesson overviews or a demonstration of, hey guys, here's how you do this. Maybe a teacher even wants to create a little screencast about, hey, this is how you're going to access Buzz or, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
So I think Screencastify,
Comfortable.
yeah. So,
Screencastify, I just read an article and it said, the screencast should be short and chunked and not 20 to 30 minutes long, because kids will literally just fall asleep. I mean, is that something you would recommend, that they just be, or maybe if it is longer, that there's parts in there that the students are told to pause and go do something else?
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I feel like I was really bad at this too, making tutorials for teachers, is I would just keep talking, like, and then I read this article like, hey, your screencast should really only be 5 to 6 minutes. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm the type of person who you ask me what the time is and I'll tell you how the clock was made. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I do think it's really important that we set time limits. I think 5 minutes max is a great rule of thumb. If you
Okay.
go longer, but keep in mind who your learner is, right? If you teach first
Right.
graders, their attention span might not be a 15-minute video. I mean, it just depends
No.
on what you're communicating and who your audience is. So just, we're professionals. Let's use our judgment. But I do think that 5 minutes is typically a pretty good rule of thumb in terms of like uninterrupted screen time watching a video.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to double check, because I read that article and I thought, well, I've been doing that all wrong for quite some time now, but I'm not going to go back. So anything that I'm doing now, as far as digital PD, I'm trying to say like, okay, now please pause
Yes.
me and go do this, and then come back to the video when you have a chance or whatever, because I just felt like, adults can sit a little longer, or listen for a longer period of time. But I think the kids were just watching these like 30 to 40-minute videos of their teachers doing their normal lectures.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And they didn't know me, but I mean, I would have done the same thing, but I think that's where a lot of like the, oh my gosh, I can't do this for the kids came from. So I think if they're just shorter.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get it. And I think it's one thing to record maybe so let's say you're doing a synchronous live lesson through WebEx and you're
Different.
recording it.
Yeah.
That's different.
Right.
And then maybe you just post the recording. We do that all the time in my, classes. But that's a little bit different because you're literally doing maybe a 30 or a 45-minute live lesson with
Right.
students synchronously, and you're just recording it. But if you're just creating like a half an hour long screencast, that's rough. Microlearning is a thing. It's really important to chunk your learning. So if you do have half an hour's worth of direct instruction, yeah, if you can chunk it out and break it up, and then you have little like checks for understanding along the way, or something. I think that's really important.
Yeah, because that was rough. And I think the more, the teachers can do those synchronous lessons with the whole class, if, even just small groups, have them all come in maybe in groups of like 10 or 5 or something and do a lesson. That's totally different. But yeah, I was having my daughter, she was watching like a 30-minute video, and she was like out by 5 minutes. I mean, she was like, drawing on the wall or whatever.
Well,
So
students don't want to sit through a 45-minute lecture face-to-face or online. So it doesn't
I know.
matter what.
Well, and there's so many more distractions, like, oh, let's open this tab and play the game, or, and then they're not really listening to you. So, okay. So let's take a step back from the tools.
Okay.
None of this is normal, right? We're in crisis mode. We're in pandemic mode. So things are not going to go smoothly. And I just want teachers to feel like they just need to know that. Like, it's okay to this not to go perfect. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself, first of all. And then as they start to plan their lessons for the fall, I think from our department standpoint, I think in a district curriculum, we want to focus on that backwards design. And I know a lot of teachers already do this, but like from a tech perspective, let's say their performance task was usually they performed a scene from Romeo and Juliet or something, and it's going to be kind of hard, I think. I don't know. So I want to make sure that the teachers are understanding, hey, we need to do some type of performance task at the end of the unit. We need to plan backwards, but we're kind of planning backwards into kind of the unknown in a way, because like, what if this goes until fall break? What if this goes past August 17th?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? What are some tools that would be just really awesome that kids could use? Because I think it might just be smart, or, I think teachers might just be smart if they just do the performance task digitally, even if we end up face to face.
Right.
I think it would still be a cool thing to have a digital performance task at the end. So, what are some choices that I think maybe teachers have, or maybe students could have, to create a performance task assignment. So we're not doing that multiple choice test at the end of the unit.
Sure. Yeah, I think
Does that make sense?
regardless of our learning environment, right? Whether or whatever choice students end up in, whether it's fully online, whether it's a hybrid model, or whether we're back in the classroom, I think
Right.
it's so important that we practice performance-based assessments. We want students to be content creators.
Right.
And so I think technology really can be helpful in allowing your students to create artifacts. And I think that's actually one of the benefits of technology, is that we can create these digital artifacts of learning, and we can create a record over time. It allows us to create a true portfolio of our students' learning, which shows growth. And that's so important for student reflection at the end of the year too, to be able to go back on those artifacts and review them, and look at their growth and reflect on it. So I think,
So important. Yeah.
yeah,
And I think they should be practicing these tools throughout the year or
yeah.
throughout the unit. So that way when they get to the end, they're comfortable, with making these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mentioned Flipgrid before, and I'll mention it again. I think it's not only great for online discussions, but I think it's a great tool to allow students to record performances or demonstrations or some kind of an exhibition, right, of their
Yeah.
understanding, of their mastery. I think any tool that allows students to explain their thinking, I am all in, right?
Amen. Amen.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, so
Uh-huh.
I think Screencastify as well. So while screencasting is an amazing teacher tool, it can also be a really useful student tool. Students can create recordings to display work that they've done, and then like narrate that recording to explain their thinking. So for example, if students are at home, let's talk about remote learning right now. If students
Okay.
are at home and you want them to do a hands-on project where maybe they're using art supplies and paper and pens, whatever, they
Whatever. Yeah.
yeah, they could take a picture then of that project
Or
product,
or a video or whatever.
or
Yep.
a video, and then they could basically upload the picture or the video to their computer and create a screencast where they narrate and explain their thinking. They explain what they did, how they did it, why they did it, all of that good stuff. So I think screencasting is a great tool for students. I also think SeeSaw, in that same vein, we did a little PD on SeeSaw at the end of spring, and it's basically a digital portfolio tool. I personally think it's a great tool for younger students, but I've used it with high school students, so it's not just for young students. And essentially, what I love so much about SeeSaw is um, students can upload pictures, they can create digital drawings, they can create videos, they can write things out in text, and then they can record a voiceover to explain their thinking on any of those artifacts that they've added to their digital portfolio. So again, all of these tools you can link through Buzz. So in Buzz, if I want my students to join a SeeSaw digital portfolio, all I have to do is put that link like on my homepage or wherever I want in Buzz. So again, you're going to Buzz first. That's your starting point. That's essentially your digital classroom, right? But then you can point out to all of these other resources. We also have, like in Rapid Identity, you'll notice that there's a tile for Adobe Spark apps. There's a few different apps in that suite of apps, like Adobe Video. There's Adobe Page, which is like a website or a web page creator. There's Adobe Post, which allows you to make like digital posters and stuff like that. So students can create all sorts of different artifacts of their learning. There's so many different tools. I love Wakelet. Wakelet's another one that I personally think is like a fan favorite of high school teachers. It's kind of like a Pinterest board. So if you create a Wakelet board, it's similar to creating a Pinterest board where you can add links, you can add videos, images, text, whatever. You can pin all sorts of stuff. So students could create a board that is, kind of like a portfolio of artifacts
They're
related to
learning.
the topic.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think
Okay.
all of those tools are great.
You got me obsessed with Wakelet because I was using Padlet and you were like, have you heard of Wakelet? And I was like, no. And then I went on and I used it and now I'm obsessed. And I think for high school kids, and I can see why it's a big thing for high school students, they can post YouTube videos easily into there that are related to their content. They
Yeah.
can post Twitter posts that they found from somebody that relates to their research. I mean, it's like a click of a button. It's so It's ridiculously
Yeah, it's an
easy to.
amazing curation tool. So students can create boards just to like help them in terms of curating a bunch of resources that will support their
Right.
learning. But they could also use it to create a board that demonstrates like their understanding of that
Blending.
too.
Yeah. And then explain it. They can
Totally.
explain it underneath it with text.
Yep.
I was just like, this is my favorite thing ever. So just thank you again for introducing me. And now I'm
Yep.
obsessed with Wakelet. Yep. Yeah, so those are all great tools, and I'll have all of that in the show notes for and everybody who's listening, so they can look and see if they want to play with any of those. But yeah, so we're jumping off of Buzz. We've got all these different things, and I think several of us have been cooped up, even if we've gone out a little bit with our masks on to run to the store. Some of us go up north to get into the cool weather, but coming back in the fall, I think we really need to reinforce that clear communication channels with their teachers. And I think we kind of already talked about this, but with Buzz, can they post that daily? I would like for my second grader, personally as a parent, a daily video of what they're going to be learning from their teacher, where they need to go, a welcome video. I mean, just seeing their face, but even a weekly video. Would that be something that Buzz can do from your knowledge? And that would be a great standardization as well for, weekly assignments and just tutorials and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Regular communication is key. And it's also a part of establishing routines, right? So, establishing communication routines and how you're going to reach out and communicate with your students and parents on a daily or a weekly basis. Buzz does allow Buzz does allow teachers to create
Yeah.
announcements
Okay, good.
within Buzz. And on your announcements page, I mean, and we'll show you this in the training, but essentially when you're
And I have not been through the training. So I am excited to go through it. I'm going through it after my vacation.
and
But
it's
I'm just
probably hard
curious.
to picture if you haven't gone through the training or if you haven't
Yeah.
seen Buzz. But essentially, and Buzz, by the way, is already a tile and rapid identity, like we said. So teachers can go ahead if they just want to play before their training or after their training. Just go ahead, click into Buzz. You'll be logged in, and you'll notice that kind of on the left-hand side, there's some navigation, and all you have to do is select communication, and you'll be taken to the communication section. And from there, you can create an announcement. When you create an announcement, you can easily add a video. It's not like you can add a live video where you're recording yourself, but you can.
Right. So if you've had a video, you're screencasted maybe yourself saying like, hey, welcome to today's blah, blah, blah. We're going to be doing this. Okay.
So you could just like link to it. So if you just want to create Screencastify or WebEx, whatever link or URL that generates, just go ahead and link that into your announcement. Or if you want, you can upload your video to your private YouTube channel, and then you can embed that YouTube video right in Buzz in your announcement.
Oh, that might be cool.
Yeah, either way. There's options for teachers depending on what they're comfortable with. But teachers can also send emails from within Buzz. Your emails don't live in Buzz. It connects to your Gmail account. So that's perfect. So you still have the record of your emails and your email activity like in your Gmail account or whatnot. It doesn't live in the Buzz platform, but you can certainly access it through Buzz. I think that it is important to set up like at minimum a weekly announcement.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know that daily is a lot, but for the littles, my daughter just missed seeing her teacher. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and if you can do it in video, I think it's great. If you do it just in text, I think that's great. I actually think that if you are like a rock star and you do both, even better, because I think it's important that we reach our students where their needs are, right? And some of our students want to see your face. Some of them want to hear your voice. Others, they might just, be looking at your announcement from their phone. I don't know, whatever's appropriate. When I'm teaching in my online classes, I send a weekly announcement. I also do that so that I can really kind of break down the learning outcomes and the assignments and the due dates for that upcoming week. I know that information is already like in the course itself, but I think it's important to just break it down and be super clear about that and explicit. I want to set my students up for success. And for a lot of them, this is their first, round with online learning. And so I just want to help them to be as successful as possible. I'll give them tips for the week or whatnot. If I think it's appropriate, I'll even send like a midweek reminder to emphasize a key due date or a specific learning tip, something, like that. But yeah, they have announcements. You can send email. They've got a calendar built into Buzz, which is another great communication tool, simply because you can tell your students, hey, don't forget the
Nice.
calendar. That's where you'll see your
Yeah.
due dates. That's where you'll see the upcoming assignments. And also, don't, I mean, I know a lot of our teachers were using WebEx for daily or weekly office hours. That's not something that you have to drop. Continue
Right.
to practice. I think it's important to keep regular office hours. And even if you don't do them via video, maybe, and like my kids, one of their teachers, they had daily office hours, and it wasn't through a video conferencing tool. It was just on email. But the students knew that every day from 10 to 11, my teacher will respond to me on email if I email them like during
Like
that time.
immediately. Yeah.
So I think just it's setting up those routines. It's establishing your protocols. However you want to hold virtual office hours, I think it's important that you do. You want to make yourself available to your students and to their parents. However you can do it, just let technology work for you.
And even maybe just making, I mean, okay, so, and you were talking about all of these things. And so, of course, what came to mind is teacher clarity, and teacher clarity is 0.75 for Hattie. So if the kids are not clear on what you want from them, they just can't learn. And so if you want to make maybe a weekly announcement sheet, with all of this in there, and so that way the kids can just like look at one paper or their one dashboard and know this is what I'm doing this week.
Oh yeah, that's a
That's
good idea.
or what are my protocols, like even if you just had a protocols
Right.
sheet, like this is really what our remote learning space, these are the expectations, because I think we just kind of came out in spring like we're doing it, and we did. I mean, I was so proud of us. I mean, as a district, we did it. But I think now, I think kids need protocols and procedures and routines. And I think Buzz will help with that a lot. But I think teachers need to think about, usually we think about a syllabus. Maybe we need to think about a syllabus, but also a remote learning procedures and protocols that we need to create, because I think they need to make sure that they're clear on what they want from their kids, and then they need to put that in the hands of their students so that the students are super clear on what this remote learning experience is going to look like for them.
I agree 100%. I think that, we need to let students understand what the success criteria is, right? In order to be
Yep.
successful in my class, this is what you need to do. Um,
Remotely or not, whatever format we're in, you got to be able to do these things. Yeah.
Right. That's actually how that's a lot of the verbiage that I use in the weekly announcements that I send to my online students. I always preface every announcement with, in order to be successful in this week's unit, you will need to, and then I bullet it out, and I list everything out that's going to need to get accomplished. So I think that that's really helpful.
So I think what teachers really need is to just reframe it as much as possible as, okay, this is what's going on. We're going to attack it from a positive place. I mean, teachers are just like superheroes. We just do it. And we do it because we love kids. And I think if they can come from that place, have some fun with their kids that first few days, like get to know them, do fun activities, and then get into their procedures and their routines and figuring out, teaching kids what are these tools doing and why are we using these tools, and then roll into some content. I think the teachers will be a lot more successful, and they'll see some more kids show up to those maybe those meetings in WebEx, or maybe turning in some collaborative work if they kind of set up all of those norms and procedures in the beginning. They have a plan, before they start. Especially with this new announcement, I am sure a lot are scrambling to figure out, okay, where do I start?
Sure. And teachers, give yourselves a break too. Don't try to learn, 5 new tools maybe this fall.
Right,
Maybe rely
right,
on the 5 new tools that you learned in the spring and carry them over into the fall. So
yeah,
now
absolutely.
we're gonna learn Buzz. We've got a couple of really good tools in our belt already. So we're gonna integrate those into our new tool of Buzz. And we're going to use those maybe, 3, 4, 5 tools to be super successful as we move into fall.
Because I think if they used Buzz, Flipgrid, and WebEx, they would be good to go. I mean, really, at the end of the day. And then if they want to start adding in more as they go. But something you said repeatedly throughout this conversation is Flipgrid and explain their thinking. Flipgrid and explain their thinking. And I think that's what's important is we want students to use tools to explain their thinking, and we want to make sure we're giving feedback for that thinking very quickly so that they feel like, hey, I got to get on so I can see what my teacher said about whatever I just posted.
Yeah, immediate feedback is really important. And by immediate, it's not necessarily that you're doing it within the hour. It's just that you're
Oh,
doing
no.
it in a
Yeah.
timely manner, right? You want to give
Right.
feedback in a timely manner, and you want to give meaningful feedback, right? Because that's how we're going
Yep.
to continue to engage our students in an online learning environment, is by giving them meaningful feedback to move on.
And maybe get with a teacher buddy at your school. Maybe you both teach second grade. And so maybe they can share their performance assessment or their video, with another class, that's not in their class. Like they can get feedback from another classmate that's, next door in a different class. And then it's really, they have an authentic audience sometimes. I think that helps too.
Yeah.
So you remember you're in digital world. So you can kind of do some really cool things. But don't overwhelm yourself again, like you said, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just want teachers to know, like, we're here to support. So if the teachers want to hear from you more or they want to find you, I'm sure that you are going to get so many emails, girl, about all of these tools. But where can they find you? Where can they get some more information from you?
Well, I personally respond fairly quickly to email. That's probably the best avenue of communication for me. So just find me, Stacey.Pasquel@gilbertschools.net. I think all teachers are pretty familiar with their site TIE as well. We work in teams to support the secondary schools, but every elementary school has one TIE who supports those teachers primarily. And so please, teachers, reach out to your local neighborhood TIE. We are going to work with you in learning about Buzz and getting everyone's feet wet in using Buzz in the first few weeks of school. I actually think that while this is, a little bit of a stressful time, I personally think it's a really exciting time in education. I know not everyone feels that way, but I think that this is one of those big moments. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
in the history of all things. And I think that this is a moment when just the entire landscape of education is changing. And I think
Very rapidly.
yeah,
Yes. Uh-huh.
very rapidly, but I think it's happening in innovative ways, in a very quick way too. And so I think that while a lot of our decisions are in response to our, existing circumstances, I also think that it's just a great opportunity for us to kind of reevaluate and figure out how we might want to reshape our own teaching and how we want to reshape how students learn. And so I think that your ties want to help, teachers figure that out as it relates
Yeah.
to your personal classroom and your personal teaching. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email, and we are excited to work with you come fall.
And they all know, the ties know all these different tools as well. So don't feel like if you ask a tie, like, what's Wakelet, they're going to look at you like, what? Like, they know they can help. And then, I know a good amount, but not everything. But, professional growth is obviously here for you guys as well. We want to make sure you guys are supported as we enter the fall. But thank you so much, Stacey, for coming on. And I'm one of the people that pestered you during your break.
No, this was so fun. I could talk to you for hours, I feel like. But yeah, I think all teachers are working. I don't think summer break happened for anyone this year. So
I know, right? And it's hard. So like, I'm going to take a week off next week. We're going up to Greer, and I just hope at least teachers get a couple weeks like where they do turn off their brains. But I think this is definitely not the year that teachers are doing it.
No, everyone needs a little downtime though. Don't be a hero. Take some time, recharge, and we'll all come back in Buzz amazingly.
Yeah. And like Wendy always says, if you're not recharged, you can't really help. You got to get recharged a little bit and unplug so that way you're ready to help and support your students, or for us teachers when fall comes. So,
yep. All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate all your knowledge. You're amazing.
You're amazing too.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Learning Unlocked and finding out more about tech tools that you might want to use with your class in fall of 2020 during the first 2 weeks with remote learning. Don't forget, GPS Professional Growth and Development is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GPS Prof Growth. That's at GPS PROFGROWTH. For the show notes from this episode, please visit our YouTube channel at tinyurl.com/PGD YouTube and select playlists. If you have time to write us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate it. The more reviews and ratings we get, the more educators will see our podcast. So if you like what you're hearing and think others would too, please head over and provide a review. Thanks again to my guest Stacey for giving us some great tips and tricks for the fall. And I hope you have and continue to have a wonderful and restful summer break. Go out there and get some sun and then run back into your house and get back into the AC because it's hot out there. Stay safe. Have a good one.